soon as you get that feel for excavators or you get into earthworks, I don't know, there was this like hold that kind of didn't let go.
All right, hello and welcome to another episode of Earthworks Hub. I'm your host, Ivan Orlovic, and today I'm really excited. I've got a guest, Hayden Kinghorn from Kinghorn Excavations. I've actually had the privilege of working with Hayden in the past in a different role, so we'll get to that in a minute, but thank you for coming on the show.
Pleasure, mate. Thanks for having me.
No worries, thank you. So basically, do you want to just give us a bit of a brief rundown on what you do, what your business is now, and a bit of history?
Yep, yeah, can do. We've been in the industry now for about 7 years. But kind of going back into it, I mean, my old man was a builder slash handyman, so I used to get dragged around sites with him. Back in the day, which I hated at the time. Now I'm kind of very appreciative that he took me around those sites. I didn't want to be this construction manager or in management that didn't have any previous experience. So I ended up actually going on and asking a good friend of my brother's at the time who had a civil business. He was going to uni at the same time. I asked him if I could have a bit of work experience in the civil industry, and he actually he took me on. I ended up out at a job out in Wollert on a water tank. He's more in kind of oil and gas and water and all that kind of utility stuff. And I went out there and pretty much, I started as a labourer. And then from out there, like he kind of, I suppose I jumped in my first excavator. I got experience in all sorts of earth moving equipment, and I suppose I ended up working for him, well, on and off. Like, it's Levi from Adam's Earth Movers, but he's probably been my mentor. He's probably taught me a lot in this game, but he ended up, teaching me a lot of what I know, and I worked for him for quite some time. That was pretty much my start of getting into the industry. I was still doing the building course at the same time, and I ended up going on to do construction management. But I suppose I kind of fell into that civil working for Levi, and I never really got out of it. I suppose I ended up going on and finishing the Cert 5 in building and construction while working for Levi. I was still working in hospitality at the same time on the weekends as well. And my dream was to get into construction management. My actual dream was to work for Multiplex still, but I don't know, as soon as you get that feel for excavators or you get into earthworks, I don't know, there was this like hold that kind of didn't let go. So I worked with Levi, continued my construction management degree, and it's a bit of a funny story. I was working at the Mount Pub, and long story short, we got to the end of the night. Now, there's no taxis in the Macedon. Well, there is now, but there wasn't back then. So they asked for a lift back to their accommodation, and I said, "You're kidding me." But my manager said, "No, go for it." And I don't know, I've always liked to ask questions, I suppose. So I asked. I ended up with, I had a full car, and I just said, "Oh, what are you guys? Like, you rock up on a Sunday night, you spend $1,000 over the bar, like, you get kicked out at midnight. Like, who are you? Doctors?" And they said, "Oh, we're engineers." And because I knew a little bit about engineering, I said, "Oh, civil or structural?" And they said, "Civil." And they kind of, their ears perked up a little bit, and they just said, "Oh, why do you ask?" And I said, "Oh, I'm, studying construction management. I work for my mate at the moment who's got a civil company." And it just happens to turn out that they worked for WBHO. And that I had pretty much the senior management team in my car. And I got a business card, and kind of going on about, yeah, a year later, there was a bit of a delay. They just won the Western Roads project. I ended up with a job as a junior estimator. I worked on some seriously big tenders there. I started doing probably about 6 months there, just purely estimating wind farms, major road projects. I was basically on the procurement team. That's where I learned about Bluebeam, which we'll talk about that later on. Catching up, so I ended up deciding to you know go out there and look for another job, and that's where I ended up at Rokon, and that's how we met.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So going to
Yep.
Rokon, where we've got 70-ton excavators, we've got dump trucks, we're building massive wetland subdivisions. There's small excavators. There's dozers, scrapers, like that for me, who is just growing. At least love for civil is growing. Was huge. And for me, you probably would have seen several times, I know definitely out at Hopkins Road, like I still,
Mhm.
because I had that machine operation background, I did love jumping in machines every now and then. I wanted it to be on something that was a bit more kind of, I don't know, not exciting, but just a bit more,
Do you think
just
less repetitive,
probably a bit
maybe?
different. Yeah, less repetitive. So I kind of a mate of mine at the time that we roughly just spoke through Instagram. Yeah, he was a medium-sized civil contractor, probably in the private kind of commercial sector, and we got talking, and I ended up, he put forward, um, an offer, a pretty attractive offer, doing a series of a bit of private work, a subdivision. We had a big winery that we were doing, which was one of a kind. Yeah,
Mm.
once that kind of happened, unfortunately things didn't quite work out, and kind of I ended up kind of going my separate ways, which kind of comes about to where I kind of thought, well, maybe it's time to start my own company. Um,
Yep.
so I suppose that's kind of where Kinghorn Excavations kind of was born, I suppose. Yeah, it's funny how I've kind of gone from like WBHO down to Rokon, down to Pack Civil, and then down to my business.
Yep.
And a lot of people ask me like, "Oh, don't you want to get massive, be this huge civil contractor, like massive jobs, heaps of staff?" And for me, it's like, no, I couldn't think of anything worse, because I've been at the top and I've worked my way down. And for where I am right now, I would prefer to just have me, to be honest with you. But obviously, the more you grow with clients, the more people you've got to get on. But yeah, I'm kind of happy sitting where I am at the moment. Maybe 3 to 4 blokes would, for me, or 3 to 4 blokes, girls, that would kind of be where I'd want to be.
Yeah.
So yeah,
If I can add to that, just yeah, I was in the same boat. I thought the same thing, because in our industry, unfortunately, everyone judges you by how much equipment you have, or how big you are. Because the first question is always, "Oh, how many machines you got?" And then when you
yeah,
say you've got a
literally,
few
yeah,
machines,
yeah,
they're like, "Oh yeah, you must be doing all right." But if you say, "Oh, I'm just on my own," they just like, "Oh, okay, he's just small." But I scaled
yeah,
up and went. I had 8 or 9 machines, 8 or 9 guys, and thought, well, I'm going to be getting bigger and doing all this stuff. But then you soon enough start to realize that you don't know if all that headache's worth it. Like, are you actually making any more than if you were working on your own? And
yeah, hundred
I sort
percent.
of I came to that realization, and then I've scaled back down, and now I'm at your
Yeah, yeah,
level. Like, I'm just sort of on my own and just freelance, do my own projects, work for people here and there, and do odd jobs with just minimal machinery. And if I need people, I just
yeah,
subcontract someone in, or something like that. Just but
yeah, yeah.
it's for me it's a lot easier too. So I definitely hear what you're saying.
Yeah, well, that's where I just look at it. It's like, I've created, I think this whole industry is kind of built on relationships, and I've made a lot of great mates over. over kind of my journey. And I think the way I look at it is, yeah, because it's right you say, like, I speak to a lot of clients and they're kind of like, oh, like even a foreman, like you rock up at a new job and the foreman goes, oh, what machines have you got? And I kind of feel embarrassed to say I got a 1.8 ton excavator, a 5 ton, and a truck because it's a
Yeah,
big civil job. And they're like, what do you mean? I've got, like, obviously I use ProQuip a fair bit, so I can get any machine I want.
yep,
Or I've got people like, I've got like Levi for me, he's got all the big excavators, he's got all the GPS, he's got the dozers, the graders, you know, the grader blades on the 299. He's got that stuff that I can kind of reach out. He's got the manpower as well that I can reach out and we kind of work in together. And there's
yep,
other guys that I can call on as well. So it's this perfect kind of happy medium. I don't have a million guys. I don't have all this machinery, but I can still kind of sit around those kind of medium-sized commercial jobs and get the job done and be able to call on people to kind of help me get it done as well.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's it.
which
That's good.
for me, for everything I've learned, and you've probably learned it along the way, man, it's just about managing stress in
It
this
is.
industry. It's just,
Well,
you can get
like
yourself so stressed up.
there's nothing worse than, and something I don't miss, because I was talking to someone about this the other day, and I was saying that I don't miss that stress at 5, 6 in the morning, thinking, oh, who's not going to come in today? What's you know
Yeah, yeah,
what's the day got in store for me? What machines are going to
yeah, yeah.
break down today? What's going to prevent me from finishing a job today? And it used to be the the biggest point was in the morning. I used to feel sick in the morning, thinking, "Oh man,
Oh,
who's not coming
100%.
in today?
Yeah,
Which customer am I going to disappoint
yeah,
first? Who do I have to go and change
yeah,
and move machinery around with? So
Yeah,
I hear you. I
100%. And
definitely
that's why, yeah, and I think that's just why, like, my kind of, I suppose my goal going forward for me is to just, whether that's, for personnel, the machines I've got now, and maybe, a few bigger, a 15 and a posi track, and then keeping it around that kind of medium size for me. And if anything gets too big, I can call in subbies. I think that's important. That's
yeah,
where I see my growth. And yeah, I think, my partner, she wants to see me grow like that. My family want to see me grow like that as well. Because at the end of the day, it takes a toll. And there's a lot of mornings where you wake up at 4 o'clock, kind of going, are they going to rock up? Is this going to go to plan? Did I cancel that? Is that going to work? Is it
yeah,
going to rain? You've got 400 ton of rock coming. If it rains, your subgrade's ruined.
yep,
Yeah, so I think it's just, for me, it's about keeping it manageable.
yeah.
Um,
I agree.
and just, it's good having a chat to you. It's good, chatting to, Nath from D2D, Levi from Adams. Talk to them fairly regularly, and we kind of just have these, kind of like you said, therapy sessions where we just kind of talk about where we're going, and it's good
Yeah,
to
well,
reflect because it kind of keeps you in check of, I can say to Nath, or I can say to Levi, hey, I've got this coming up, and they can be like, ooh, that's a bit big, or like, how have you thought of that? And it keeps you in check.
it
So
does.
yeah, I
It
think
does.
even, us having this chat here is, we're reflecting on, yeah, where we want to go to and kind of keeping ourselves in check. So
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what the podcast is about. Just keeping all of us in check. Everyone can communicate, share from our other people's experiences, and let's see that we're not alone. We're all in the same sort of boat, and we can work on it together. So yeah, no, definitely good
yeah,
good to
100%.
to chat like this.
Yeah.
What was your first job on your own? Was it, and how'd you get it?
So luckily, I bought my first machine, which was the 1.8 ton Volvo. I bought that while I was working at Pack Civil, so I was on a
Uh-huh.
salary, just because I had a whole lot of weekend work. Because my parents were like, kind of grew up in Woodend. Everyone's got farms. People want driveways. They want this. They want that. I was always hiring equipment on weekends. I think I did a driveway, and I think I hired one of your 5 ton excavators
Yeah, I do
back
remember
in the
that.
day. Yeah, so I kind of got to the point where I was like, I'm on a decent salary. Yeah, let's buy a little 1.8 ton excavator, and then I'll be able to, that's my excavator. I'll be able to house it up at mum and dad's, and then I'll just go around doing, weekend jobs, which kind of that was a plan. And then I was like, oh, I'll do a bit of dry hire as well. So I
Mm,
just kind of created a bit of I think it was just in Google. I think I was with iSeek Plant as well. And this guy, Mark, hit me up from Brooklyn. He's kind of like in property maintenance, does bathroom renos and stuff like that. And at the time where I suppose I was probably out the door of pack, he was doing a house extension. He had to do a
yep.
raft slab, but they were proper deep footings. And he had hired my 1.8 probably for about a week or so prior to me leaving pack, and then he hit me up and was kind of like, "Hey, like I'm ready to do my slab." So it was kind of, I fell into my first job.
Yeah.
And I probably spent probably a week or so there, digging this raft slab, because it was just super tricky because the subgrade out there was pretty bad. So we had to dig down fairly deep.
Yeah.
And then I ended up kind of just helping him. We did it in 2 sections. So I think some of the beams were, I think, about 1.5 meters deep in some areas. So I
Hmm.
actually ended up just like, I dug them for him, and then I helped him put the Rio in, and then I helped him pour them.
Yeah.
And it was kind of that, just like, all right, I'm out of my own now, so I just got to kind of do everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I did that for a week or so, and he was great to talk to as well, because he had he had his own business, and he he had some great pointers for me for, like, it's he thinks back to it when he was in my shoes, and he's like, mate, you'll get to Friday at 2 p.m. and you will have nothing lined up for the next week, and you start
Yes.
stressing. But 3 p.m., all of a sudden something comes in. And so he had
Yep.
all these great little kind of pointers for me, which I still think about um, to this day.
I know that one of the other things with our field is that you don't know what you're going to be doing from week to week or even day to day sometimes, especially if you're on like short term projects. You might work one day and then have nothing the next, and then 2 days later you've got something else, and then next minute you've got a 6 month project, and then yeah, it
Yeah,
can be very volatile, like up and down, and that's why I always say, like in one of my other posts on Instagram, and that I said
yeah,
that just don't think that you're going to be working every day when you're in this field, because you've got rain days, you've got days where you get heated off, projects don't start, permits are not ready. There's just a whole bunch of stuff
yeah,
that
yeah.
we rely on.
Oh, it's just, yeah. Well, like I say to a lot of mates, a lot of family and stuff. It's one big game of chess. And even now for me, say I'm booked out for the rest of the year. But I always say when I'm talking to, my mates that I kind of have, we talk to daily, I'll be like, oh yeah, I got this booked in, this booked in, this booked in, this booked in. And I'm always like at the end, for now. That's probably going to change on Monday. Like I got next week booked
Yep.
in, but that'll probably change tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. So, or
Yeah.
7 o'clock. Well, it's being about, yeah, it's just, I don't know, like I used to be really bad with it. But now I'm getting, I suppose, yeah, I'm getting better at it. And I always kind of recall back to what Mark said, that it's, something will always come through. And we've always got guys that, like the relationships that I've made, that I can hit up Levi and say, hey mate, like I don't have any work next week. Do you need an operator? Do you need a labourer? Do you need someone? And like he's always, yeah, they'll always,
That's a good
whenever
thing.
it's rarely, unless it's pissing down rain, we're rarely going to be sitting at home doing nothing.
Yeah.
Um,
See,
So
you're willing to be versatile though. I think that's important. That you're not going to be saying, "Well, I just want to sit in my machine, and if there's nothing to do apart from that, then I'm not doing it." Whereas you're versatile. You're saying, "Yeah, I'll come out, I'll operate for someone else, or I'll go and help out on the ground if I have
yeah,
to." And that's I think that
yeah,
when you've got your own business, you can't afford to be like stuck in that mindset. Well, this is I'm just here to operate, and that's it. Like you've got to be able to say, well, you know what, I'll jump out and do something else. And it doesn't mean go out and dig all day by
yeah.
hand and do stuff, but you got to be willing to do other things.
No, no. Yeah, 100%. Like this, I see a lot of people that kind of they get their machine and they go, "No, I'm not going to do anything else. I'm not going to work for anyone else. Like this is my machine." And it's kind of like, well, at the end of the day, like, I finance all my equipment. The banks, they're not going to, oh, I've got no work for the machine. I'm sitting at home. Well, they don't just put the loan on pause. You kind of it comes back to that, like, I suppose the grind. Like, it's all about cash flow. It's all about making sure there's money in the bank, being able to
Yeah,
pay the repayments, being able to live. Um, yeah, it's all about being able to put fuel in the machine. So, if I have to go work for for Levi for a week operating, obviously I'm going to be making less money, but there's a relationship there as well. But it is what it is. It's what I got
yeah,
to do. So,
and we've got to scratch each other's backs too, because there might be times where
100%.
you need someone to operate, and you can get one of your mates to come and help out too. So it goes both ways. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it was definitely at times where he might call on me and say, "Hey, can you take one of my guys?" Or, I still use his machine. So yeah, like you said, we scratch each other's back. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's important. So
It is. It is. What about just going back to the machinery, Nate? So you mentioned you had your 1.7 tonner.
yep.
What else do you have at the moment? And like, do you see yourself getting any more though? I know you were saying you're not that keen to get too much more, but so what have you got now, and what are you thinking about maybe changing around or looking towards getting?
So so I got obviously the 1.8 was my first machine, and then I've got the 5 ton Volvo excavator as well.
Hmm.
I've got the Iveco Euro Cargo tipper, which isn't a conventional tipper. It's actually like a bit of a freight truck, but it was super attractive to me because I still had the 1.8. I wanted a long body that's with low sides, and just by sheer fluke, this truck came available. It had done bugger all Ks. It was in great nick. I could fit 259 Bobcat or Cat, and 1.8 ton excavator on the truck at the same time. So it was just, yeah, perfect for me.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's the
sounds
fleet
good.
I've got at the moment. I'm very keen to get a posi track, um, but it's just that's I suppose going to like one of the questions I suppose is like challenges that you face. It's because my partner and I all that I've started a business without having a house behind me at the start. So we're kind of in this fine line where I'm building a business, but at the same time, we're planning to buy a house as well. So it's that catch-22 of the bank
Yeah,
doesn't like me having too much debt
yeah,
when we go for that house. So it's kind of, yeah, look, I was in the process of getting ready to pull the trigger on a 259, but unfortunately, just been on a massive trip to Europe, got a wedding coming up in March, and we're looking to buy a house as well. It's just, yeah, it's a juggling act. So
yeah,
we've kind of at the moment I've kind of pushed that my priority is, to get married and buy a house. And then once we get that, sometime next year, then I'll start, probably purchasing a posi
mm.
track straight away. And other than that, to be honest
What?
with you, the 1.8, a 5 ton, the posi track, the truck, and probably a 15 ton excavator would max me out. I'd be pretty happy with that setup.
Yeah,
So
I think the Cat 259 is a really good machine. I've got a Cat 239, and
Yeah, yeah,
I just love. I've had a few posi tracks. I think out of all of
yeah,
them,
yeah,
though, the 239 I like. I like the 239 because it's still a bit light, so it's light enough to not
yeah,
make too
yeah,
much damage, and it's still narrow,
yeah,
so I can
yeah,
sort of fit down narrow things. It's a 259. I've hired one once, and I remember it had just that
yeah,
little bit more power, bit more of
yeah,
that lift as well, the higher lift, so I could load
yeah,
trucks
yeah.
easier, and it was I think it was just a touch wider, so I sort of had a wider bucket on it too, so I could do a bit more. But yeah, the cats are really nice machines for posi tracks anyway, definitely.
Yeah, well, that's what kind of before I kind of went off, cooled off from buying one. I suppose I, yeah, I kind of just wanted to trial a couple. So, on my Instagram, I had the Hyundai. I took that for a spin. The other day, I've Pack had a Kubota. So I spent a lot of time in a Kubota, which at before I kind of got into a newer cat, I loved the Kubotas because I felt that they're a bit rough and ready, and I don't know you felt more. It's weird, but you kind of felt more at one with the ground. And there was
Yeah,
an old dozer operator that I learnt off, and I used to watch him out at St Hubert's. He was a weapon. He'd been doing it, you know, for years. And I said, how do you get so good? And he goes, oh, I just feel it through the seat. Because I kind of knew
yeah,
nothing about dozers. I've driven a D6 here and there, but I've pushed a pile. That's about it.
yeah,
But he was so spot on, and half the time he wasn't even running GPS, and he just said, "Look, I can feel it in the seat," and I kind of felt that with like a posi track, like a Kubota, like you felt like you were more on the ground.
yeah,
But then, as soon as I got in a cat, the ride, the cabin, the everything about it. I think yeah, it spoils you pretty quickly. But obviously, there's a
yeah,
price tag attached to that as well. But
yeah. True, true.
end of the
So
day,
what?
look, I had someone say to me, they said, like, if what are you going to buy, PosiTrack? Are you going to be spending majority of your time in it, or are you going to be putting someone else in it? And it's like, well, because if you're putting someone else in it, you could buy a Kubota, but if you're going to be sitting in it for all your time, you'd probably want a cat. And I was like, yeah, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, spot on,
Like it's
spot on.
just I don't know the ride quality. Like you would know, owning a cat, the ride quality. It's just yeah,
Yeah,
it's a polished machine.
it
Um,
is.
so
I had a Kubota as well, and I had an SVL 75, which is probably what you
yeah,
used. I found I love the
yeah,
machine, but I did find it a little bit sort of heavy, and it had the narrower sort of track, so I used to sort of bog in and create a big mess and a few other things. They were a bit sort of bouncier, and I don't know, they used to rattle a bit more. But I did love how the door would open up
yeah.
above your sort of head,
Well,
so
that's
you
the
could get in
thing.
and out easier.
That's the thing, and it's a funny thing. I had a 30th recently, and it was a Bobcat up there. It was a 75 horse, but same door as a cat. And I used it as an esky. I put a whole lot of, I had a party and I put a whole lot of beers and a whole lot of ice
Oh,
and
I
stuff
saw
in the
that on
esky, and
Instagram.
it
Yeah,
was,
I did see that. Yeah.
yeah. But the awkward thing about it was, I had to sit it on the ground, the bucket on the ground, so it wasn't at that perfect esky height because I
Yep.
couldn't get out of the machine.
Yep.
I had to stay in the machine if I wanted the esky up at the right height. So it's one of those things. You just look at the machine like it's yeah, like the Kubota, I love the door, but
Mhm.
obviously the way the door is built, it rattles.
Yep.
So then you get the cat door and the bobcat door, which is nice because it doesn't rattle, but then it's awkward to get in and out at
Yes.
certain times.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just that catch 22, I suppose. But
It is. It is.
yeah, look, I mean, they're probably something that I'm using pretty regularly at the moment. Super handy bit of gear. So yeah, as soon as I purchase a house, it's probably yeah, my next purchase will be a posi track. That's for
All
sure.
right. And
Which the
what
new
about?
ones have just come out. So
What's that? The 259s?
The new cats. Yeah, I think they're 255 now. So they just brought that out. So
Oh, there you go.
yeah, by the time I buy a house, I might be the hopefully the supply goes down a little bit with all these um,
Um,
problems at the moment with trying to get stuff in. So yeah, we'll see
yeah,
how we
it's
go.
still ongoing from years ago. Yeah, like we're still can't
It
catch
is.
up. Crazy.
No, and it doesn't. Yeah, like I thought it would catch up by now, but like cars have cooled off a little bit. The second-hand game, but yeah, like the new car game is still pretty hard and equipment as well. So
Yeah. And what
yeah,
about
but no,
technology? If we apart from the machinery and that, like what technology do you use? Do you use like Trimble or any of the GPS or machine controls or like what do you use out of those things?
nah. So I suppose like I don't have any. Like none of my machines have GPS on them. I've used GPS in the past. The first GPS system I used was a 66-ton Liebherr out at Atwell. I had Topcon on it as well. When I jumped in that at lunchtime, had a swing in
Was that
that,
at
and that was
Rokon?
probably yeah, that was at Rokon.
I
That was
remember
one of
that
their
machine.
Liebherr
Yeah,
66 tonners. Yeah, so it had the Topcon GPS, and can't remember the operator at the time, but I said, "Hey, can I jump in? I've never been in something this big." And it had GPS, and he showed it all to me, and I had a bit of a dig. So yeah, that
yeah,
was the first GPS system I used.
yeah. Do you
But
think you'll
other than
need it?
that, yeah, look, I definitely, I've used a lot of Leica. Levi uses a lot of Leica. And I like that system. I mean, probably for me, I'd buy a rover, probably not a machine control or a machine system, but I'd probably buy a rover just for a lot of the civil sites I'm on. It's that concept kind of like a lot of the stuff that I'm doing at the moment is, I use Bluebeam, which I'll talk about after this, which is, kind of a software for takeoffs and stuff. So I kind of mark it all out, and then I go off the hurdles or the pegs that the surveyors put in. But just being able to have that GPS rover on site that I can mark my own stuff out, because you know what it's like. Surveyors often put pegs where you don't want a
Yeah,
peg to be, or they get hit because you throw that pile over there and a rock rolls down and wipes out the peg. It's, all sorts of things. So for me to be able to have the file there at my ready, to be like, all right, well, this is where this needs to go, to be able to draw a line on the ground, to be measure how much we need to dig down, how much to come back up. I
yeah,
think that would kind of, before that's something that I could purchase, probably outright before I buy a house. That's probably a
yeah,
system that I would probably look towards getting. Just it eliminates having the laser out there. I mean, the laser doesn't lie unless it's not calibrated, but it's
yeah.
yeah, that's probably what my next purchase probably would be to get a GPS rover.
All right. Well, you mentioned this blue beam a couple of times. What is that blue beam? I've never actually heard of it. Is
Yeah,
that
so
like a
pretty
similar
much. So
thing?
Bluebeam. No, so I learned about Bluebeam at WBHO. So they use that. I learned about that in kind of their estimating department. Which Bluebeam, it's pretty much a PDF editor. So it's like Acrobat, but
Okay.
it's just a software that you can open in all your PDF plans, and you can you scale all your plans. You can do takeoffs, whether that's perimeter, area, volume, radiuses. You can pretty much. So say if I take you into how I would quote a job, say I would jump on, say, estimate one, or I would get sent a job by a previous client. I would open up the plans, I would scale them all, and then I use Excel. Nothing fancy there, but it works. So I'd have Excel on one screen and Bluebeam on the other, and I pretty much just go through the plans, and then you'll say if you got your heavy duty pavement there, you mark it all out. It'll give you that area of 1,000 squares, and then I can just go straight into Excel. All right, 1,000 squares, heavy hard stand. All right, it's got 300 of capping, 100 of class 3, and so on. And then I can work out all my quantities from there.
Yeah,
It also, I know with St Hubert's, I used it when I was at Pack as well, because often the time, if you're on a job for so long, the plans will keep getting updated. So there'll be new revs coming out all the time, and with Bluebeam, you can put the old rev in and the new rev, and it'll tell you the difference. Because sometimes the engineer, whoever gives you the plans, will say that, oh, we've changed. There's two more pits there, and we've removed that pit, but there's a lot of stuff they miss as well.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a handy piece of software,
Oh,
super handy, and then you can sign, you can fill out documents. It's got everything Acrobat's got, but it does you can pretty much do all your takeoffs in it, and then you can actually download your takeoff into an Excel spreadsheet. So
that's good. That's
super
good.
super
Well,
handy bit of software, and it's cheap, $500 for a license. So
that's not bad. Yeah,
it's actually not too bad when you get a lot of this, for me to sit down and get a scale ruler out and measure up, because a lot of my projects at the moment are kind of, I suppose, that in commercial, small warehouses. For me to get out and get a scale ruler and work out all the measurements it's pretty time consuming. So
yeah. I do find, yeah, quoting can be time consuming. The worst thing is when you don't get the job after all the time you spent on it. But
yeah,
it's,
100%. Yeah, we spent a whole lot of
yeah,
time, but yeah, I suppose it's just the nature of our game, isn't it?
it is. Yeah, I suppose
But
do you ever go back to do you go back to customers and ask them if you didn't get a job? Do you like go back to them and say like, why didn't I get it, so you can sort of work on improving for the next time, or do
yeah,
you like not bother?
it depends. Some I do, some I don't. Um, but yeah, a lot of the time I do, and it's like the builder I'm working. Probably got two main builders that I do majority of my work for at the moment, and there's one builder that I'm not at that stage where I can potentially cater for all their work. So I'm happy for them to give out other projects to other contractors, but I still kind of, at least they give me the time to be like, well, yeah, you were a little bit too expensive on this, or your price was good on this one. So there's been a number of occasions where I've put in a price, we've got all the way to the end, and then it's kind of just come from a capability point of view, that I probably
Yeah,
can't. It's just a little bit out of my reach at the moment, but they say, hey, your price is bang on.
yeah,
So still for me, I'm pretty happy with that, because it's like, well, I know I'm going to build, get to my kind of full capacity where I can probably take on a bigger job. So at least I know that my price is right. Um,
yeah, yeah,
so yeah, look, I go back, and yeah, look, it's annoying for, you probably know, with private work, it's a bit annoying. You kind of go back to them and you're like, oh, why didn't I get the job? And they kind of have no idea.
yeah,
Like more your mum and dad builders, they kind
yeah.
of,
They're like,
oh, I just went
it was
with him
cheaper. Yeah, the
because
guy was cheaper. That's it.
yeah,
Yeah,
he was cheaper, but then they call you back and they're like, oh, he actually stuffed it up.
yeah,
So it's a bit harder with them, but I find with a lot of the commercial clients, yeah, I do go back and ask about the
mhm.
price. So,
So it seems like you're getting
um,
a lot of callbacks from regular customers. Is that, so you basically just word of mouth now with those sort of guys, or
yeah, pretty much. So I suppose like from that job that came through, so I was on IC plant. I use high pages a fair bit to fill in the gaps, which
yep,
actually, you look at those websites like high pages and that, and you kind of
hmm,
go, oh, are they a bit of a scam? Am I going to get work? High pages, I got a heap of work out of. I seek plant, not so much. There's
yep,
probably a lot of people that would agree with me.
Hmm.
But I, yeah, I use that for a fair bit. But then the way I look at it is it's all about relationships, and a lot of the relationships that I've built over my time working in the industry, a lot of them have kind of, yeah, they've followed my journey and they've wanted to be a part of it. So as soon as I started my own company, a few of those clients have come along for the ride as well, and I've ended up doing a series, a lot of work for them. There's a lot of work still coming up. And it's just pure relationship, really. It's just rocking
It
up,
is.
having a good attitude, and getting on with them. And
Yeah.
that's, I see it a lot. A lot of people just say no. If they tell you to do that, like you say no, I'm not doing that. Which I get called that I'm too nice a lot of the time. But at the end of the day, like they're there, they're paying me. If they want me to do it, I'll do it. Like it's yeah, like I'm not going to be super happy about doing some things, but yeah, like if it's, I don't know, I've always just had that. I kind of, I look at the relationship in a greater light than just saying no to putting, that bit of concrete in the bin or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's little things like that. So
Yeah. No, it's
yeah,
good. I think
that's yeah
it's
for
good to
me.
have.
So a lot of yeah, keep going. Sorry, keep cutting you
Oh
off.
no, I was going to say it's good. It's good to have that attitude. I think, yeah, and that's what keeps you coming back. Um, in the previous episode, I was saying that your
Yeah, literally.
performance at work is what's going to determine whether they call you back or not. So if you're not willing to do a couple of little things here and there, then you're not going to be expected for them to call you first. You're going to call the guy that helps out.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, because if they call, if I'm on site and they're paying hourly for me and they go, oh, Hayden, can you go put that concrete in the bin? Can you then run over and dig that? Can you go do that? Can you get out? Oh, do you reckon you could just shovel around that? A lot of people would be like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
Or, oh, just really? Where it's kind of like, look, yeah, it's not ideal that I have to run around and do all this. But at the end of the day, they're paying me. And if I can run around and make that happen, well, then the foreman's going to be like, Hayden was great. Actually, he just said, and he went off and did it. And then he came back, and he said, oh, is there anything else you want me to do? And that's the end of the day. That's what keeps you working.
it does.
It's
It
building
does.
building those relationships with the foreman. If it's the building company's personnel, their labourer, their PM, their engineer, their safety manager. It's just about being a good person, to be honest with you,
It is. It
and
is.
just a bit of a can-do attitude, and that's all I've done. I've rarely kind of cracked it on site. I mean, sometimes you have to crack it if it's quoted work, and there's other trades. A couple of times, a couple of school jobs. I've been there doing a courtyard subgrade, and the plasterer keeps driving his cherry picker over your subgrade while you're trying to build it. And it's kind of like, all right,
Yeah.
the first couple of times it was all right, but now the sixth time you've told me to F off, I'm probably going to go get the foreman now. And you walk in there and you're like, come on, mate, you need to sort that plaster out because, like, I'm on the
Yeah.
clock here.
Yeah.
This is contract. He's taking the piss now. So that's where you kind of have to crack it. But at the same time, yeah, like I'm not cracking it at them. I'm just trying to keep the program going. And obviously it's about money as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just not productive. So you do need to crack it sometimes, but overall, it's just about rocking up, having a can-do attitude, and trying to
Yeah.
get things done. Really. So,
I think I think the
so that's
relationship is
where,
important
yeah,
because yeah, if you look at the current times, I mean, I don't know if you're feeling it as well, but I've been speaking to a lot of mates in the industry, and some guys are saying that from probably around June onwards, it's gone really quiet, and a lot of guys aren't working every
yeah,
day.
yeah,
They're only getting two days a week, 3 days. So there's a big lull going on. All the interest rate rises, all these things are happening. They're slowing down in
yeah,
building
yeah,
and blah blah blah. So I suppose if you've
yeah,
got good relationships, and I think that's what's keeping me going, is that
yeah,
the guys, I'm using those relationships to keep me going. I'm talking to guys that regularly use me and the guys that know that what I'm like, and they'll call me to say, Ivan's all right, he's good, get him in, we'll get him to come work for us. I think it's vital to have a good relationship.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and they're like, yeah, like it's, I suppose, well, you're overseas, I was overseas. We kind of, yeah, I suppose when the lull started, and then we kind of got back, and I started talking to mates again. And I said, yeah, there's a lot of people that aren't working. And I suppose I had a bit of work to go on when I got back with, but it was, yeah, I do see a lot of people out there that are, probably don't have too much work on, but then you hear, because everyone kind of knows everyone, you hear a backstory of, oh, they rocked up to that job and they didn't price this, and then they tried to hit them up for that, or they did price this, and then the client said, can we relook at that rate? And they said, jam it. And there's always a backstory to kind of, oh, all right, well, they may have burnt a bridge with that person. So
Yeah,
now when they're sitting at home, not with a whole lot of work, there's always, yeah, whereas I've always been like that. I've taken stuff off my invoice, um, little things off my invoice. And I've said to construction managers, PMs, I will take this off my invoice if I get a look in on the next job.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's all about that kind of toing and throwing. And I'm happy to do that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
What about have you ever had to chase
so that's
payments?
gone.
I know a lot of guys worry about working on private jobs and that because they always worry about chasing payments, so they stay with plant hire companies only. Like, do you ever have any issues or any stories about that, or is everything been pretty good so far?
Um. Well, for me, up until about, geez, I can't quite. It would have been July last year, I think. Yeah, probably July last year. Um. Or maybe it could have been earlier this year. Well, whenever it was, it doesn't matter. So pretty much, all the guys I spoke to in the injury industry had always had someone that hadn't paid them, or they had someone who had gone broke. And for me, I think I did this private job where he put a whole lot of rubbish in my bin at the end, and I took it to the tip and I put that on my invoice because I said, well, the rubbish isn't free. And then he was like, I'm not paying I'm not paying the rubbish, but it was like $50. So
Yeah.
I never had anything significant until, yeah, like Lloyd Group for me went bust.
Oh
Owed
yeah.
me about
Yeah.
60 something grand. So that for me was, I was working on a number of their projects. Yeah, it was, roughly 60 grand for someone who's pretty new
Wow.
in business was a massive hit. Didn't really know where I was going to go from there. But at the same time, in this weird way, it felt like I'd made it because I'd finally not been paid.
Oh,
So yeah, it's like I joined this elite level of you're now a business owner in construction because you haven't been paid.
yeah. That's a
So
big that's a
yeah, so
big
that
amount. Like
that
for for a lot of guys, that could bury their businesses. You know what I mean? So a lot of guys don't have that sort of money to cover. So you've done well to
oh,
come out of that.
100%. And yeah, well, to be honest, like it probably nearly rolled me as well. Yeah, like I wasn't far off. But luckily, I put a couple of ads out on Instagram, and I met um, a fair few guys like Nath from D2D, Riley from RDH, Levi as well from Adams. There's a lot of guys that kind of just reached out and said, "Yeah, I've got some work for you. Here, do this, do that, do this, do that." I still talk to. Well, I kind of made new mates out of Riley and I suppose Nath that they, yeah, we kind of created this bond over what happened to me, and now they gave me work, I give them work. it's kind of all, yeah, it's all kind of worked out for the better. I kind of went back to doing a lot of private work, which, private work you can make good money doing, but the jobs, like I said before, the clients can be super annoying. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
so, yeah, and then luckily, Monaco Hickey came through and took on a couple of Lloyd jobs, which one of them was a big job I got down in Narre Warren. So they ended up paying out my outstanding, which was about 25 grand, and then rolled on my contract. I got a bit of money from some other jobs as well. So I ended up getting a
that's
little
good.
bit back. But yeah, look, I was still owed a fair portion. But look, I sit about it now. It's like when you get back from Europe and you're kind of going, geez, that that 40, 35 grand that I was owed to me, that would have been nice. But
Yeah,
yeah, look,
yeah,
it's all, I don't know. You can sit there and cry, which I've done a lot of that, but you kind of just
yeah,
got to put a smile on and you just got to get after it and just, the support that I get from everyone in the game, my partner, my family, to just kind of keep on going when that happened, and everything will be all right. It's just, it's huge, and it makes you get out of bed,
yeah,
and I suppose you just kind of, yeah, going back to when I started and when I failed that first year of uni, that fire, it kind of just stokes that fire up to be
yeah,
like, let's go again, and talking to a lot of people, I was in with probably six project managers. Well, not six project managers, but probably three project managers, a construction manager, and a couple of foremen at Lloyd. Now
yeah,
so say, six staff from Lloyd, they now go to six individual building companies. So that's
yeah,
six contacts at six individual building companies. So,
yeah.
yeah, look,
So in every bad,
I
there's a
don't
bit
wish
of
it
good.
upon anyone. Yeah,
Yeah,
100%. So it's but look, there was a lot of people that were owed a lot of money. Luckily, I was only about 60 grand, but yeah,
yeah,
but that's the nature of the game, especially with interest rates and everything going up at the moment. There's a lot more
yeah,
building companies going bust. So
yeah. If
yeah, and that's where I kind
if
of just
you
go back to the point. Yeah,
oh no, sorry, that's what I was going to say. So
keep going.
if you had to give any advice to someone that was going to start out, what would you sort of say to them?
Well, I suppose that's kind of, yeah, like where I go back to just kind of like knowing where you want to get to, kind of staying like, because when you start a company, you say yes to everything, yeah. Like I've
Yeah,
done a bit of concreting, I did a bit of pipe laying, a bit of done of that, a bit of landscaping. Often the time you do a lot of landscaping, and then I suppose I found where I wanted to be,
mm-hmm.
and I'm now looking to just stay in that lane and stay in my size range, and just that's kind of where I want to be. So I think that's like to anyone who wants, starting in the industry or getting into the industry or wants to start their own business, it's kind of like, yes, you got to say
Yeah,
yes to everything. You've got to trial everything, because you might
yeah,
say, oh, I want to be an earth mover, or you're in civil, and then you do some landscape jobs and you love landscaping. Like you might get into like electrical work and you love electrical work, like trenching and stuff like that, or pipe laying or something
mm-hmm.
like that. So you got to say yes to everything to kind of understand what you like and what you don't like. And then as soon as you find that, just know how big you want to get,
Yeah,
and put a plan in action to get to where you want to be. And yeah, just stay in your lane. And relationships are key. Relationships are key. A can-do attitude goes a long
yeah,
way.
definitely. Even
So that's kind of,
if I can add to that, just oh, sorry, I was going to say even if I can add to that, just talking to other people in the industry already and just sort of asking their opinions, and a lot of guys will be straight up with you and say, "Oh, don't bother doing that, or you won't make as much money doing that," or you'll find a lot of guys are
yeah,
pretty helpful.
yeah, 100%. And that's asking questions as well. Like it's just asking questions. That's how I've always gone about. Like you know, working with Levi, you know, with in a lot of that oil and gas, I'm always there asking about how the gas system works, how the oil system works, what happens if that was hit, what happens if this, and they're all open to telling you.
Yeah.
Like it's not this kind of hidden secret. So everywhere I've gone, even when I was at Rokon, it was kind of like, oh, why do we do that? You know, asking the Vic Roads inspector that you probably were there maybe one day that I think I threw my hard hat across the wall. It was one of the days I cracked there that we didn't realise we tried to do two tests on one day. So we tried to put class three down in the morning and then class two later on because we were hit with programs and kind of Vic Roads at the time accepted it because if they say no to the invitation, it automatically classifies as a pass.
Yeah.
At the time, there was some weird loophole around there. So they said yes, and then came out and said, oh, it was never going to pass. So the foreman and I at the time, we kind of, we cracked it pretty hard, but it was those little things, just learning that. And then,
Y-
you know, we had that little speed hump, but we all kissed and made up after that with Vic Roads and stuff. And I used to ask Vic Roads, oh, why can't you do that? Why can't you do this? You know, why do you have to accept? And it's just ask. You
Yep.
will get some people along the way that will tell you to F off, but it's the same with machines, you know, jumping in a machine. That's why I jumped in that 70 tonner on my lunch break and I was an engineer. You know, the GM had come out and I'm in a Moxie running dirt around. Like it's just after hours, you know.
Yep.
It's yeah, it's I don't know, it's just
Yeah.
that kind of can do attitude and just ask questions, jump in machines, just kind of just give it a go. Like, yeah, you will get people that'll tell you to go away, but hey, that's every industry pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. What is there anything else that you wanted to add? Like, is there anything that I haven't really asked or that you were hoping to cover?
Um, oh, pretty much. What do we got? Um, I suppose, yeah, I suppose kind of the what I mentioned about with the challenges and stuff. Obviously, you know, losing money through a client going bankrupt and stuff. But I know you've touched on this before. You know, stuff getting stolen.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I've had my excavator and um, ute was stolen. I've had tools stolen. You know, recently had truck batteries stolen. It's yeah, I think you know all these things. It happens with stuff getting tighter and people needing money. Yeah, a lot of this stuff is becoming more and more common. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you got insurance, it's all kind of secure. Yeah, if it's going to
Yep.
get stolen, it's going to get stolen. I mean, there's not much you can really do. You can't chain it to your bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
It's
think that at the time, you know, it's horrendous when it happens. Um, but yeah, if you've got everything that you can do ticked off, or yeah, it's just. But it is a challenge. It's definitely a challenge. I know when my excavator got stolen, it was probably the worst weekend of my life. I kind of just sat there, kind of going, "Yeah, I'm going to throw in the business. I'm done. It's all, you know, it's all over." But yeah, once the dust settles, it's kind of. I think you become. I don't know if you can kind of comment on that as well. Like everyone's scared of getting stuff stolen and then you get stuff stolen and you kind of just like the other day when I said, oh, my batteries got stolen, people were like, geez, actually? And I was like, yeah. Like
Yep.
it's not ideal. You kind of become immune to it. It sounds
That's
weird, but
I was gonna say, yeah, in this industry, you definitely grow a thick skin because some of the people we have to deal with, some of the things that happen to us, you know, like and then like that, like you say, things getting stolen. In the beginning, you get really affected by it, and then sort of eventually you just sort of learn to roll with it and try not to let it get to you,
yeah,
and
exactly.
just keep moving on. I know.
Yeah, well,
But look, there's
that's kind of how I
yeah,
look at it. That's how I look at it now. It's kind of just, yeah, it's just, you know, it will happen. But I don't know. It's like that non-payment thing. It's like I've had something stolen now. It's like I'm a business owner now. It's just weird, kind
yeah,
of. Yeah, I don't think it's. Yeah, you'll never go unscathed. I don't think you'll always something will always happen. But That's the nature of the
Yeah,
beast, and you come back to it all the time. That's running a business. That's why we do it.
yeah,
It's well, running a business. If it was easy, everyone would do it. So
yeah. I think
there's
it's
risk,
almost like
there's reward. So
yeah. I think it's almost like you've just got to allow for that. It's not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. So you've just got to make an allowance that it will happen one day, and then when it happens, that's it. Like you say, you're part of the club now.
yeah, literally, yeah. So as long as you got all your insurances and stuff, and it is what it is. But no, other than
Yeah,
that, it's just I've always I think it's just kind of yeah in this game having that can do attitude, having a good support network behind you, asking questions. I've found being loyal to suppliers, whether
yep,
that's through Volvo, pretty loyal towards them. ProQuip for hiring equipment, Kingston EPH for cartage, Reese for all kind of plumbing. I don't know. I've always just had this. Same with my geotech, ground science. I've always got on with, I build a relationship with these people. I build a relationship with Troy from ground science. He looks after me. He provides a great service. Why would I go anywhere else?
yep.
So
I agree. Yeah, true.
it's yeah. So that's a big thing about finding some good suppliers and just building a strong relationship and paying your bills and just because I still I talk to Chris from Kingston, I talk to the guys from ProQuip, like I'll call him up about getting some trucks and then we'll just have a chat about my holiday or about where we're going. It's this personal kind of as well, which is important. So
It is. Yeah.
yeah, there are probably a couple of things I can add. It's just having some good loyal suppliers and being loyal to them and
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
There
don't be
you go.
scared to fake it till you make it in
Yeah,
some elements. But no,
it's
look,
true.
I probably wouldn't change too much. Really, probably I should have probably trusted myself a little bit earlier. But apart from that, here we are, and yeah, we're moving along nicely. We've got a couple of guys working for me, so yeah,
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well,
that's a good
you
one.
seem to be definitely going full steam ahead still, and you got your head sort of set in what you want to do. Obviously got your wedding coming up, and those other personal sort of things as well. So you know not to push things too far, and get yourself in so much debt and stuff that you can't do your own things as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, and yeah. With the debt, and it comes back to like it's like I read a question of like, what are the elements that you don't enjoy about your job? And it's kind of like, well, there's not too much that I don't enjoy, but a lot of it's like a lot of the hours we put in. And like you've got a family, you've got kids.
Yeah,
I don't want to be that. Although I like my job and I like making money and all that, but the hours sometimes is just yeah, I don't want to do those hours because it takes away from quality time with your partner, your friends, your family, and it's just yeah, I think that's a big thing that I would like to add as well to kind of like anyone who wants to start out. Obviously, you do have to do the hard yards, but for me going forward now, like I don't really want to work weekends.
yeah,
Even though like construction's turned into a 6 day week now. I
yeah,
don't want to work weekends. I want to have the weekend off where I can hang out with my friends, my partner, my family, and do other things. Because it's just I've just found before going to Europe, I worked probably 2 months straight, and I ended up crook. I was like
yeah,
sick getting on the flight because I was that burnt out. So
yeah. I
yeah, I
think
think
it's.
it's yeah.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. Having a balance, work life balance, is very important, especially when you're running a business, and then you're doing your own paperwork and your quotes and physically out there operating and doing everything. It can take a toll, and then if you don't have a break, and I have to admit, my wife's been actually really positive on that note. She tells me we're going on a break. That's it. You need a break. she'll organise something and say we're going
yeah,
away, and then at that moment I'm hating it, going, oh, how am I going to finish these jobs? And I've got all this stuff coming up. But then when I go away, I thank her for it and go, you know what? If you didn't do it,
yeah,
it would
100%.
never happen. It would never. I'd be always saying, oh yeah, we'll go
Yeah,
next time or tomorrow. So yeah, you
yeah,
do. You need a
yeah.
break.
Oh,
You do
next
need a
week,
break.
next week, next week.
Yep.
100% you do, and that's yeah, it's important. Because I suppose when I first started out, like I loved earth moving. The more and more I got into it, but it kind of came to the point where I loved it that much, but then as soon as you start working, it starts to wear off a little bit.
Yep.
Like the love for earth moving. There's some days you get in and you're like, oh, like it's easy driving an excavator to a degree, but there's some days you get in it and you're like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to dig this trench. Like the novelty wears off a little bit. Um, so
Yep.
yeah, look, it's no, that's a big thing for me now. It's just trying not to work, I suppose, as many hours. Just be smarter about it. So
Yep.
yeah, and that all
No,
comes
good.
back to pricing, I suppose. Pricing a job, if you can work in, if you can call on people to help you and all that. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Well, that's like me now. I've downsized so much that I don't even have a truck at the moment. And people say to me like, "Oh,
yeah,
how do you go about moving your machines? And what about this and that?" And I always say, "Well, now I look at it in another way. Now I'm giving a float company work. I'm giving other mates with
yeah,
trucks work because when I need a truck, I call on them.
yeah,
So I'm sort of giving back at the same time, you know. So I've gotten rid of a few
yeah,
overheads,
hundred
but I'm
percent,
actually
yeah,
helping others as well. So I think it works both
yeah.
ways. Mhm.
Oh, and that's the thing, yeah, because you're always, yeah, exactly. Like you end up looking after someone else who's in the industry. So that's a good thing
Yeah,
about our industry. It all kind of impacts each other. So
it does.
yeah, no,
It does.
yeah, I think it's perfect being able to kind of because there's a lot of people that like look at like downscaling as failing, and it's like I don't look at that like that at all. Like we can all get on the gravy train and go for it. But I think, it's like with Lloyd, people were like, oh, but don't put all your eggs in one basket. And it's like, well, someone said to me, but if it's a golden duck, how are you not meant to put your eggs in the basket? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So I think
yeah,
because I've kind of done that as well. I've priced some big jobs and then kind of gone, no, I've pulled out at the last minute because it's like, no, I can't do this. Like and I think yeah, it's valuable to be able to do that and downsize or say that I can't do that because it comes back to that staying in your own lane kind of and knowing, just keeping a handle on everything. So
yeah,
no, it's great that you're able to see that and make the call on it and
yeah,
yeah and execute and now you've got stuff like this. You got this podcast you can work on. So
yeah. Well,
it's
that's the
important to
other
see
thing, you
that
know. I
because a
want.
lot of people in your shoes. Yeah, sorry, you keep going.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, a lot of people in your shoes might look at that as like failing, where it's not. Like, you've just seen that, well, hang on, no, I need to pull my overheads down. I want to go in this avenue. I want to start this podcast. And I think, it's something to be kind of, proud that you can sit there and be like, no, this is a positive for me. So,
Yeah,
but that's
no,
the
that's
way I
good.
look at it anyway. So,
Yeah, no, that's good. Hopefully everyone else will see it the same way. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well, look, no, look, it's been a really interesting chat, and I really appreciate your honesty and openness. You know, you've been very straightforward and open with everything, and hopefully people can learn from your experiences. And if they ever want to follow you, where can people sort of find you? Like, what are your socials or your website, and that you can mention those if you
Mine, yeah, so my main is just I pretty much just got my Instagram, which is just Kinghorn.excavations. That's just I'm pretty I post pretty regularly on there and I don't have a website or a YouTube or a TikTok or anything like that. It's just I don't know, I look at my phone too much. So just keeping it at Instagram. It's yeah, that's where I see it. It's kind of like a virtual kind of, well, not virtual, but it's kind of just like a portfolio that's just always changing. You know what I mean? It's just people can see what I do. They can see stories. They can see what I'm capable of. I get those.
Yeah,
You probably get them as well. Those companies that call you and say, "Oh, you're a construction company that doesn't have a website. What are you doing? That's like suicide." It's like, oh, it's not. Like I just don't. I personally don't see much more value in a website than that I have to pay for. Whereas my Instagram, I can post a whole lot of stuff, and a lot of my clients are on Instagram now. So yeah,
yeah.
like they can
Well,
see it. It's right there. I love it.
yeah.
Yeah. So
I find that a lot of people say to me, like, because with Eagle One Industries, my business, I do a
yeah,
lot of posting on Instagram, and then my kids really got me onto TikTok and all these
yeah,
other things. And then people say, "Oh, why do you do it? And have you actually won any work out of it?" And I always say, I probably haven't won that much work out of it, but a lot of it keeps people in keeps me in people's minds. So
engage.
I've had occasions where I
Yeah,
post
100%.
something, and then an old customer will ring me and
Yeah,
go, "Hey, I saw your post the other day. You still got that posse track?" And then they'll call me and say, "Are you free next week?" And then so it sort of does work, in some
yeah.
way.
Oh, 100%. It does. Like I wouldn't say I've got too many jobs off Instagram, but like I've got a kid doing work experience with me in a few weeks, and he found me on Instagram and wanted to come, do a bit of work experience for me. So, that's a positive. I'll get other people asking. I've seen on Instagram you're looking for workers. And then, I've got a private job that I'm doing at the moment where he's got a couple of dams that need fixing. And I'm like, yeah, just jump on my Instagram, go have a look at the dams I fixed. And, if that's the end product you want, well, we can make that happen. So yeah, I don't know. It's this, as we're getting more and more digital, it's just a pretty good platform to kind of sell your
Yeah,
business on. Like the other one's LinkedIn, which, one of my main clients at the moment, that was through LinkedIn. LinkedIn's, it's a bit more professional. But yeah, I've kind of got time for both platforms. Look, I've tried TikTok, but I don't know, I'd end up getting hooked to it. I don't need another social media app that I get hooked to, so I've just stayed away from that at
yeah,
the moment. So,
it can be
but
time consuming. Yeah,
yeah, it can be. But look, I'd love to make a YouTube channel. I'd love to do that, but it's just, I don't know, with yeah, running a business and all the, still playing sport, spending time with my partner, going there, seeing friends, family. It's just at the moment, it's just a bit too much. I'll have to
yeah,
outsource it. But yeah, maybe down the track, we'll see how we go.
that's it. No worries. Well, I really
Yeah.
appreciate your time. Thanks for coming onto the show, and good luck with your
Ah,
business as
thanks for
well.
having me, mate. It's Yeah, likewise, mate. It's no, it's as soon as you started this up, I was, like I said, that I wanted to jump on it. Yeah, there's no one really doing it down here, and yeah, it's great that you've taken that on board, and hopefully, yeah, you can get some more people on it, and we can, yeah, I'm interested to listen. I need another podcast to listen to, so no,
No
it's
worries.
it's been a pleasure, mate. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you very much. And for
All
all
right,
the listeners out there, thank you as well. If you need any excavation work done in there, I'm sure Mr. Kinghorn here can help you out.
mate.
And yeah, look, keep an eye out on our website as well, which will be earthworkshub.com.au. That should be up and running in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, there's some more guests coming up, and I'm actually looking forward to that. And then, yeah, just keep listening. If you've got any feedback, hit me up, send me some messages. I'm open to everything. And yeah, happy listening, and we'll see you in the next one.